want to make her chase you? Don't start with charm. Don't start with strategy. Start by becoming the kind of man who knows how to hold a mirror, emotionally, energetically, and spiritually. Because a woman doesn't truly chase a man for his looks, his money, or even his words. She chases the feeling she gets when she's around him. She chases how she feels about herself in his presence. And if she sees a reflection that makes her feel understood, safe, and seen without having to explain herself, she'll return to that mirror again and again. Most men think they have to impress their way into a woman's heart. They put on a performance, hoping that attention and validation will win her over. But here's the truth. She doesn't want to be impressed. She wants to be recognized. And recognition doesn't come from chasing. It comes from stillness. It comes from a man who's grounded enough to observe without controlling, listen without interrupting, and sense without being told. When you become emotionally attuned, not reactive, not needy, but aware, you begin to pick up on what she's not saying. You hear the silence between her words. You notice the hesitation in her smile, the shift in her tone, the flicker in her eyes when something lands deeply. And without calling attention to it, without overanalyzing or confronting, you mirror it back in the way you respond. You adjust your presence to match her vulnerability. You slow down your energy when hers becomes tender. You invite her to bring more of herself forward, not by demanding it, but by being a space where nothing she reveals will be judged. This doesn't mean being passive. Emotional mirroring isn't about being soft, it's about being aware. It's what separates a man who's merely available from one who's irresistible. Because when a woman feels like she's seen in ways she hasn't even seen herself, it does something to her. It creates a resonance, a craving, a bond that's deeper than words. She starts thinking about you even when you're not around, not because of what you said, but because of how she felt when you were there. This kind of presence can't be faked. It requires emotional discipline, self-awareness, and patience. It means you stop trying to predict or manipulate her responses. You don't chase highs, you reflect truths. And when a woman sees herself clearly in your presence and still feels accepted, she begins to see you differently. You become the rare man who doesn't need to control her to connect with her. And that kind of man, he doesn't need to chase, because she's already moving toward him in ways she doesn't even fully understand. Women don't chase men who chase them. They chase men who see them and remain unshaken. Be her mirror, not her puppet, and she'll keep coming back just to feel that reflection again. A woman doesn't chase a man who needs her. She chases the one who doesn't flinch in her absence. That's the paradox. The more you center your energy around her, the more she subconsciously pulls away. And yet when your life is so full, so deeply aligned with purpose and meaning that her presence becomes a bonus, not a necessity, that's when she leans in. Women aren't attracted to desperation. They're attracted to direction. They're drawn to a man whose eyes aren't scanning the room for approval, but are locked onto something bigger than validation. Mission. When your purpose becomes your emotional anchor, you stop reacting to her inconsistency. You stop checking your phone every 5 minutes. You stop overthinking whether you said too much or not enough, because you're no longer playing a game. You're living a truth. And the truth is, women can feel when you've placed them at the center of your self-worth. That energy is heavy, it's grasping, and while it might get attention momentarily, it won't sustain attraction. She may be flattered, but she won't be compelled. What compels her is a man who walks into a room and brings his world with him, not one who's waiting to be invited into hers. You become that man when you detach from the outcome. Not because you're cold, not because you don't care, but because your focus is rooted in something deeper. A mission, a passion, a life that's already moving with or without her. And that movement, that energy, creates gravity, emotional gravity. When a man is clear about who he is and where he's going, a woman begins to see herself reflected in his path. She begins to wonder how she fits into that journey, not because you asked her to, but because your alignment makes her curious. She starts to chase because your energy offers something rare, emotional independence. You're not waiting to be chosen. You've already chosen yourself. And that kind of self-ownership radiates confidence without arrogance. But here's where many men get it wrong. Detachment isn't disinterest. Purpose-driven men aren't aloof. They're intentional. They know that time is sacred, attention is expensive, and energy must be earned. So they don't give it away freely. They give it where it matters. And when a woman feels that your attention isn't just available to anyone, but directed with intention, it transforms her perception of you. You stop being an option. You become an experience. So if you want her to chase you, stop looking over your shoulder. Turn your gaze forward. Lock into the life you're building. Let her witness your momentum, not your insecurity. Show her a man in motion, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. A man who doesn't need her, but respects her. Who doesn't chase her, but invites her. Because women don't chase men who pursue them blindly. They chase men who are too focused on their path to beg for anyone's presence. Stay rooted in your purpose and let her catch up. Most men hear the word dominance and immediately think of force, control, or aggression. But true masculine dominance isn't about overpowering her. It's about grounding yourself. It's about presence, stillness, the ability to take up space without apology and lead without ego. When a woman meets a man who embodies subtle dominance, something primal wakes up in her. She doesn't just feel attracted, she feels safe. And when she feels safe, she leans in. She begins to chase, not because he demanded her attention, but because he anchored her chaos with his calm. And let's be clear, dominance doesn't mean speaking over her. It means speaking with conviction when you do. It's not about being loud, it's about being certain. Subtle dominance is the energy of a man who doesn't ask for the room's approval because he's already approved of himself. He's not seeking permission to lead, he's simply leading, whether anyone follows or not. This kind of energy shows up in the smallest moments. When she's overthinking, your grounded tone brings her back to the present. When she's spiraling, your eyes hold her without judgment. When she tests you with attitude, you don't escalate, you smile. Not because you're dismissive, but because you see past the surface. You see the emotion behind the reaction, and you don't flinch. That's dominance. That's leadership. And women chase men who can contain their storm without collapsing into it. Think about it. The feminine is energy and motion, fluid, intuitive, unpredictable. The masculine is the riverbank, structure, form, direction. When she feels your strength not through control, but through composure, she relaxes into her femininity. She becomes softer, more expressive, more open, because she knows you won't be shaken by her waves. You don't try to fix her feelings. You don't absorb her drama. You hold space. You respond, not react. But here's the catch. You can't fake this. If your dominance is performative, she'll sense it instantly. Women are attuned to energy on a level that words can't mask. Subtle dominance requires emotional discipline. It means you've done the internal work. You've met your own fears, your own insecurities, and you're no longer run by them. You're not leading to impress her. You're leading because that's who you are, with or without her. When a woman encounters that kind of man, it shifts everything. Suddenly she's not in control of the dynamic anymore, and not because you took control, but because you embodied it. That's the difference. She begins to chase, not the man who forces, but the one who simply is, steady, certain, grounded. So if you want her to chase you, stop trying to outtalk her. Stop trying to outplay her. Instead, outcenter her. Become the calm in her emotional storm. Let your silence speak confidence. Let your stillness be your edge. Because women don't fall for the loudest man in the room. They fall for the one who can hold his frame no matter what's happening in hers. The man who doesn't move for validation, but moves with vision. And that's the kind of man she'll never want to walk away from. Most men make the mistake of believing that to make a woman chase them, they need to pursue her harder. More texts, more compliments, more presence. But what they don't realize is this. Chasing creates pressure, and pressure kills curiosity. The more you try to prove your interest, the more she starts to question her own. Women don't chase men who make themselves too available too quickly. They chase men who make them feel chosen, not chased. There's a powerful psychological shift that happens when a woman senses that you're selective with your attention. Not arrogant, not emotionally unavailable, but discerning. She begins to lean in because your energy feels earned, not given away freely. And in a world where most men rush to offer their time, validation, and affection without requiring anything meaningful in return, the man who holds his standard becomes magnetic. It's not about ignoring her or playing games. It's about knowing your worth to the point where your presence becomes a privilege. You don't need to say it directly. She'll feel it in how you show up, how little you try to impress her, how calmly you observe instead of trying to convince. You're not out here throwing your energy around hoping it sticks. You're watching, measuring, feeling, and when you do engage, it's meaningful, it's precise, it's intentional. That's the moment she realizes you're different. Because when a woman feels genuinely seen, when she senses that you've looked past her beauty, her charm, even her flirtation, and still chose her with grounded awareness, it awakens something in her. She wants to earn more of your attention. She wants to know what you see in her that made you pause, that made you decide she was worth more than just attraction. She starts to chase the feeling of being selected, because your selection feels rare. But for this to work, you must be fully anchored in your own standards. You don't chase because you already know what you bring. You know that your attention is valuable and that your time, your presence, your emotional investment are not currency for approval. They're offerings of respect. You offer them slowly, intentionally, only when her energy proves she's capable of honoring it. When you interact with her from this space, your interest doesn't feel needy, it feels earned. And women respect what they earn far more than what they're handed. So stop over-pursuing, stop leading with eagerness and approval. Instead, cultivate the kind of energy that makes her want to step closer, just to be part of your world. Make her feel seen, but not conquered, valued, but not chased. Because a woman doesn't truly fall for the man who tries the hardest. She falls for the one who chose her when he didn't need to. The man who could have chosen anyone, but made her feel like the only one. And in that moment, the chase becomes hers. There's something incredibly attractive about mystery, but not the kind that's manipulative or cold. It's the kind that comes from a man who understands the value of emotional restraint. And this is where most men go wrong. They confuse vulnerability with exposure. They overshare too quickly, hoping to build connection, hoping to make her trust them faster. But what they don't realize is that giving too much too soon actually erodes attraction. True connection, especially in the early stages, isn't about emotional flooding. It's about calibrated depth, about making her earn access to your inner world. You have to understand, women are naturally intuitive. They are biologically wired to sense emotional energy. So when a man reveals everything up front, especially before she's emotionally invested, it doesn't make her feel closer. It makes her question why you're so eager to be understood, why you're trying so hard to bond. She doesn't feel magnetized by that. She feels burdened. But when you share with intention, when you withhold your full emotional story until she shows she's emotionally ready to hold it, something different happens. She becomes curious. She starts leaning in. She begins to chase your depth because it wasn't handed to her, it was protected. And now she wants to be the one to unlock it. This doesn't mean being emotionally unavailable. It means being emotionally disciplined. It's about having the self-awareness to pace your vulnerability. You don't shut down, you don't hide, but you reveal who you are in layers. Slowly, intentionally, like a book she can't stop reading because the next page always leaves her wondering what's underneath. When a man guards his emotional depth, not from fear, but from strength, he stands out. He becomes the opposite of the emotionally needy man. He becomes the man with a rich internal world, one that requires patience, presence, and real effort to enter. And that's attractive. That creates a pull she can't easily explain. Because now she's emotionally investing, piece by piece, and with each new layer you show her, her connection deepens. Because she earned it. And the deeper truth is this. Emotional safety is not just about listening to her. It's about managing your own vulnerability in a way that doesn't demand her emotional labor. You don't lean on her to fix you or to complete you. You show her you've already done the work. You're not a project. You're a presence. And that presence is rare. So if you want her to chase you, stop giving her everything at once. Let her feel the slow burn of real emotional intimacy. Let her wonder. Let her work to understand you. Because when your emotional world isn't a free-for-all, it becomes something she respects, something she desires to be part of, but knows she must earn. Remember, women don't fall for the man who reveals everything too quickly. Fall for the one who makes emotional closeness feel like a privilege. Hold your depth like treasure, and only open the vault for the one who truly shows up to earn the key. There's a part of attraction that many men overlook, not because they're unaware of it, but because they fear how it might be perceived. And that's the power of competition. Not in a manipulative way, not as a tactic, but as a quiet undertone in the energy you carry. When a woman senses, subtly, that other women notice you, respect you, desire you, something shifts in her psychology. Her instincts activate. Suddenly, she's not just observing you as an individual. She's measuring what it means if she doesn't act, what she might be missing, or what someone else might find in you before she does. This isn't about flaunting other women or trying to make her jealous. That kind of emotional immaturity only repels high-quality women. But what is magnetic is when you live in a way that naturally signals value. When you move through life with social proof. When people light up around you. When women respond to you, even subtly. It creates an unspoken sense of demand. And demand creates desire. Women are deeply intuitive, but they're also biologically wired to notice social cues. A man who is respected, sought after, or admired by others sends a clear message. He's desirable for a reason. This taps into something primal, something often unconscious. She wants to find out what others are seeing, and more importantly, she wants to be the one who captures the attention of a man who has options, but isn't chasing any of them. But here's the nuance. This power only works when you're not trying to showcase it. If it's performative, if you drop hints about your female friends or try to make her guess who's texting you, she'll sense the insecurity beneath it. Women feel energy more than they hear words. True social proof is quiet. It's effortless. It's embedded in how others respond to you, how confidently you carry yourself, how little you try to seek approval, because you already have it. And what makes this especially effective is that it puts the ball in her court. When she sees that you're not chasing validation, that you're grounded in your self-worth, that you could entertain multiple options but remain discerning, it makes her want to earn your full attention. She begins to compete not against others, but against her own comfort zone. She starts showing up with more intentionality. She begins to invest emotionally, mentally, and energetically because something in her wants to win you. That's when the dynamic changes. That's when she starts to chase, not because you pressured her, not because you manipulated her emotions, but because your energy made her curious. Your presence made her feel something rare, and your value made her realize you're not just available, you're choosing. So let her see your value without shouting about it. Let your life reflect your desirability. Not to spark jealousy, but to remind her that men like you are rare. And if she doesn't make a move, someone else will. Because women don't chase men who chase them. They chase men who are already being chased, but choose to wait for the one worth catching.